Hello, everybody. This is a very, very late review for Velma season two. I, if you've seen my last video on Velma, I did season one. It was a good. Like I left off saying it was good, and you should definitely watch it. And I thought it was a good little take on Scooby Doo because I hate Scooby Doo. I hate the original Scooby Doo. So anything that's not Scooby Doo, I think is good. As far away from that as possible, I think it's good. So Velma season one, good. Season two, if y'all remember, season two got greenlit almost immediately because people basically hate watched season one. Season two, in my opinion, is better than season one because what they did, they they pretty much they looked at season one. They saw what didn't really work with that, and then they didn't do it for season two. Season season one, they did they were doing the thing where they would comment on something, like they would say, like they would talk about a television trope, how a TV show would do something, and then they would immediately do that, or they would be doing that while they were talking about it. Season two didn't do that. They didn't do that once in season two. Season two, we got character development. We got a lot of character development with Fred. Um, some character development with Norville. Daphne and Velma actually worked to try to fix their relationship. It was actually pretty cool. It was like is it's like I wasn't really expecting all of that. And then on top of that, they have the mystery. They have like the mystery of who's killing these people. We find out, like, the sheriff, I believe, was the sheriff at the end of season one that they found at the end of season two. In the beginning of season two, they find that his dick was ripped off. Somehow, his dick got rid of. His dick got ripped off, and they don't. They're like, okay, what happened here? Like, some person just came here and ripped this guy's dick off. Like, who would do that? More bodies kept popping up. Um, I'm going to try to not be spoiler heavy here. But again, this is a very, very late review of the show. So if you haven't seen it by now, it's like you're probably not going to watch it, or you've already seen it and you've already hated on it. But so he so basically what they figured out is that all the victims were connected in some way. All the victims were connected. They like they were all part of the Scooby project in some way. The killer knew all of them from that project. It turned and this is spoiler. This is a spoiler. It turned out the killer was Scrappy Doo. He's going around. He was going around tracking these guys down, ripping their dicks off. He was being voiced. I don't know the actor's name, but you've probably, if you've been watching like TV, if you've been watching like TV for like the past few years, you've seen this. You've seen the actor. He's Rexplosion. He plays Rexplosion in Invincible. He was in an episode of Legion on FX. I think he played a wolf inside of one of the characters' imagination. No, it wasn't her imagination. It was like, it was the astral plane. Like two of the characters were trying to help her out by making this fake world within the astral plane. And go watch Legion. That it's a little hard to explain in like a really short amount of time. You'd have to take a whole video explaining it. Go watch Legion from FX. It was actually it was a good episode. He was a guest star on that. He was oh man, he was in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He played one of the characters boyfriend. And he was like he was like a weirdo. I remember like there's only one episode she dumped him. I think he came back for the last episode of that show. And then he also plays a character on Big Mouth, which I hope comes back soon. That's a great show. It's another show you should be watching, Big Mouth. Okay. And it's like that's the guy. I don't know his name. I don't think I ever learned his name. I should probably do that. He so Scrappy. So then it's like when we find Scrappy Doo, he turn he tries to convince Velma that he's not evil and that he's not the one committing the murders. It's not me. It's someone else. But I can help you find them, all that stuff. She looked at him. She was looking at him. She felt uncomfortable with him in this cave he was living in, and like she basically tricks him. She tricks him into believing like, oh, I'm going to help you. You find out that that Scrappy Doo that Scrappy Doo's name is a combination of the word shitty and crappy. That's his name comes from. And then every time like a military person would address him, they would never call him Scrappy. They would call him Shitty Crappy. It was great. And that was good because no one liked. Excuse me. No one liked Scrappy Doo in the original show. Everybody hated Scrappy Doo. Like, so making him the villain of the season basically like feeds into everybody hating Scrappy Doo. So I guess that was like something they were trying to do for the fans. He and then we also get Uncle Scooby this season, which surprised and because at first it was like, oh, you see, when you see Uncle Scooby, you see it's like somebody in this big giant suit, like with their voice disguised. You can't tell who it is. You can't see their face. You can't see their you can't see their face or anything. You can't tell who they are. You can't even tell if it's a man or a woman or what. When I was watching that, I'm like, that's going to turn out to be a giant dog in a suit. And this suit's going to be a giant dog, and it's going to look like Scooby Doo. They did not do that. They didn't do that. Probably because we were expecting it. If you're watching the show, you're probably expecting it. And then so she so it turns out like, and then when they revealed it, and then near the end of the season when they revealed who Uncle Scooby was, it turned out to be somebody they already knew. I'm gonna let you guys figure out who it is if you decide to watch the show or not. She and then there was a and then there was actually a hint, and there was actually like a clue earlier in the season when she was talking to Velma. She mentioned something about being in the military and them teaching her how to make a really tight ponytail. And Velma was like, huh? When she said that. And it's like, and it kind of just comes out of nowhere. It comes out of nowhere. And then you, as the viewer, you kind of forget you heard that from that character until the reveal. And it's like, oh, that was a hint. She, they gave us a clue and we didn't, it's like, if if you're not really paying attention, you might not have caught it, but that was a clue. So then, and it's like, and on top of the mystery, finding out Scrappy Doo, we got, on top of all that, we have Fred being mad at Norville because Fred, Norville killed Fred's mom with the stalactite when she shot at him, and he deflected the bullet, and the stalactite, the bullet hit the stalactite and it fell on her and she died. And he blames Norville for that because he thinks, because Fred thinks that his mother was being possessed by the ghost of Norville's grandmother. Norville does Norville like Norville and everybody else knows that, dude, she didn't she didn't she wasn't being possessed. Your mom was crazy. She wasn't being possessed. And then he refuses to believe it. So then Norville decides, I'm going to find my grandma and I'm going to prove to you that she wasn't possessing your mother, because she'll still be alive. That's how I'm going to prove it. So he starts going through like old notes of hers, and then um, realizing that she might actually still be alive. So then he goes to look for her and actually finds her alive, like kind of early into the season. Brings her to Fred, like, here's my grandma, still alive. So she wasn't possessing your mother. Okay, so, and then on top of that, Norville is having hallucinations of Fred's mom blaming him for killing her. And he thinks it's an hallucination being brought on by guilt. So he's trying to relieve his guilt to get rid of the hallucination. Now the hint here that she's not an hallucination is the fact that she is aware that she's aware of her existence. I'm not a psychiatrist here, but don't think I don't think when people have hallucinations like that, the hallucinations don't know they're hallucinations. The hallucinations will think that they are real because you're imagining them and you think they're real. So your hallucination will act real. because you know, because you don't know it's an hallucination. You think it's real. Um, yeah, so your brain is creating that, and then the hallucination is like, I'm a hallucination. I don't want to be here. You need to get rid of your guilt so I can go away. Hallucination wouldn't talk like that. That's like that. I think that's your hint at something. Wait, that's weird. That's weird. Why would a hallucination say all that? Um. So when he finally does relieve his guilt, and the hallucination is like, "Oh, finally, I can leave now," and then she vanishes, and then immediately comes back, and she's like, "Wait a minute, what's going on here?" Turns out she's not hallucination; she's a ghost. Like she was a ghost this whole time, and she think, and then once they realize, like, wait, you're a ghost. Ghosts are real, like because in season one, if you remember, they had to establish ghosts aren't real. Okay, so if ghosts are real and you're here, why are you here? So she figures out the reason she's here is because she is she has unfinished business with Fred. She needs to help Fred grow up and become a man so she can move on. So she does that by by getting Fred upset enough to stand up to her. When she does it, her business is moving. She's like, "Oh, I'm moving on. I can feel it." And she thinks she's going into heaven, and it turns out she's going into hell. She thinks she's like going into heaven, and then like this fiery pit opens up, and all these hands grab her and pull her down. I thought that was like a funny bit of comedy right there because it was like, okay, that's funny. That's funny because like you were a bad person your entire life. Like this one good act isn't going to fucking undo like of a ton of bad shit you've done throughout your entire life. So yeah, yeah, she went to hell. I thought that was funny. Um, oh man, what else? So that was funny, and then once that happened, like Fred and Norville made up, and I think they started being friends again. Uh, we had Norville's dad is trying to get him on weed. Um, he doesn't want to start smoking weed, so instead of like actually smoking the weed that his dad is giving him, he's throwing it in the trash. He's throwing it in this little waste basket that he has in his room, and he's just like tossing, and he's just throwing weed in there, and it's like you're gonna you're gonna clean. It's like first off, how his dad doesn't notice that the weed is in there. I don't get how he doesn't notice that, but yeah, it's in there. At some point, he has to empty that waste basket, and he's testing his urine. And it was like one of the little Easter eggs is that when he's testing, he has this testing strip to see if his like urine has the drugs in it, and then he dips it into the urine, and then it's like, and then when it's done doing the test, it's a picture of Shaggy from the original cartoon with his thumbs up because there's weed there's he's been smoking weed, he thinks. um it's and it's funny, and then it's like, oh yeah, that was like a reference to the original character. There's another reference to Velma and Daphne. You see, like, because because Velma solved the mystery in season one, In season 2, she's become popular now. And then Daphne and Velma, they're working on their relationship, so they're being a couple again. So people are basically looking at them like, oh, they're both really popular now. They're cool. They're cool and they're a couple. And then like two white girls walk by wearing their clothes, and it was like, of course, they look like Velma and Daphne from the original show. And I was like, okay. I'm like, okay, putting in references from the original show. And then later you find out when all the adults are reliving their high school memories. They're walking through the high school reliving their memories. You find out that Norville's dad, when he was a teenager, looked like Shaggy from the original show. I didn't, if that's how they were drawing him in season 1, I didn't notice it. But in season 2, I was like looking at it. I was like, they were kind of doing, they would have like more shots of his dad in season 2. And it's like the more I looked at him, the more I started noticing like he kind of looks like an older version of the original Shaggy. And then it's like late, and then in that high school episode, it's like, yeah, he looked like Shaggy from the original show. They just put like a full beard on him and changed his hair. I was like, well, shit. And I'm like, did they draw him like that in season 1, or did they redesign him? They may have redesigned him. I don't know. Um, so let's see. What else in this season? We got one of the Hex girls showed up. She's like she's running a cult bookstore, I believe. And her daughter and her are living with um Velma, because I don't think they had a place to live and they were new in town. And were they living with Velma or Daphne? I don't know. I have to watch it again. But they were no, she's living with Velma and she's having to stay in Velma's room. Fuck, I don't really remember. Now, this is what happens when you do late reviews. You forget shit. I probably should have refreshed my memory by watching some of the episodes again. Well, the point is that this girl being in town is making one of them jealous, and they don't want them hanging around their girlfriend, but they kind of don't have a choice because she's living with one of them. Yeah. Then you got the short-lived subplot of Velma thinks that Daphne and this girl hooked up in the back of a car, because that's what somebody thinks they saw. They think that they saw somebody. They think they saw them hooking up in the back of the car. But what was actually happening was that Daphne was mad, was mad at Velma, and she was asking her to be like, "Hey, we're going to cast a curse on her," and that's what was happening. The curse didn't work, obviously. Let's see what else is notable here. Velma, yeah, Velma's mom started drinking again, trying to write because drinking made her a better writer. So that was happening. Velma, the so what else? so then, so what else happened? Notable things this season. Well, one thing I want to know is like the title cards for each episode. the title cards for each episode would be related to what was going on in the episode. I thought that was very nice. It was a nice little thing they did. When they went on a school trip, it said it said Velma on the side of the school bus driving down the street. And then when it hit, and then the bus hit something, and then blood splattered on the bus, and it made a 2. Velma season 2. And I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of funny. And they were doing stuff like that the whole season. I thought it was clever. That was pretty clever. And there was at the end they kill at the end they kill Scrappy. Velma dies, becomes a ghost, possesses Scrappy, and then he just and then like his brain can't handle having his consciousness in his brain, having his consciousness with Velma's consciousness on top of that. So he is like in like the it kills him. And it kills him, and that's the end of Scrappy. And now we have, and then and the season ends with, okay, well now we have the problem of here's Velma's body. Velma's a ghost, but we can't put you back in your body because your body is destroyed. Like there's nothing really I can do medically. Like you're dead. So that's an issue they gotta figure out for season 3, if there is a season 3. I don't think there will be a season 3. I'm hoping I'm wrong, because I don't think the same amount of people that hate watched season 2 that hate watched season 1 came out for season 2. So we're not I don't think we're getting a I don't think this show's going to make it to a third season, which kind of sucks. Um I say that's all the stuff that's kind of really notable, all the stuff I remember that's really notable. Now I want to talk about another reaction video I saw, that this guy, I don't know what his name was, but there was this guy doing these watch alongs. He would do basically he would go from, it would be like episode to episode, and he's basically just commenting on everything by the minute. And it's like, when you do something like that, when you make comments on the video, when you make comments like this on like a TV show, like of course, like one thing, something you see, I'm like, oh well, that's dumb. That doesn't make any sense. I'm like, yeah, it's probably not going to make any sense that minute, but if you wait to the end of the episode, it might make sense then. You know, or it might not even make sense at the end of that episode. It might make sense at the end of the season. You know what I'm saying? It's like you can't really comment on something being crap right there out of context, which is basically what you're doing. You're commenting on this one thing out of context, and then you have to wait for the context to be added later. And so it's like this couple of the one episode after the I saw him commenting basically on this one episode after the field trip episode, where they realized, because at the end of the field trip episode, Velma realized that the killer wasn't human. When she realizes this, Scrappy attacks the bus, causes it to crash, causes it to crash